In this video, I'll give you a live training that I gave to my clients in my program, the Remote Training Mastermind. If you want to learn more about that, go ahead, check out the main video on my channel. But in this video, pretty much answering all the questions from my clients in terms of booking more calls with potential athletes and how to actually get them on the phone so that they actually trust you enough to show up and eventually pay you money to be a part of your remote training program. Like I said, this is in my program that these guys actually paid for, and I'm giving it to you for free. So hopefully you get a ton of value out of this video. And if you want more information about my program, check out the main video on my channel. I'll plug that one more time, and I'll catch y'all in the video. Peace. One of the biggest questions that I'm getting right now, Nick, why can't I book calls? So in today's call, what I'm going to be diving deep into is why specifically you actually can't book calls, because booking calls, setting appointments is like absolutely critical to like making money on the internet in anything that you do, right? It is absolutely vital. It's like the foundational skill of, making an internet sale, right? So we're going to dive deep into, if you're struggling with booking calls, or you're not necessarily sure how you can do it, or you're not converting at the clip that you want, I'm going to walk through some principles in this presentation so you can kind of see like how and why maybe you're not booking calls and how you can book more. So what we're going to cover, number one, the customer acquisition process. Number two, getting the attention of your clients. Number three, starting conversations. Number four, actually booking the call. Number five, the real reasons you can't book calls, and then some of the main takeaways. So should fly through it. I only have 25 slides here. So, and I like to keep the text short on each slide. So the customer acquisition process. So let's do a quick overview. Number one, we want to capture attention at the top. Then we want to generate interest. Then we want to nurture that interest. Then we want to have a conversation. Then we want to get them on a call, and then obviously eventually onboard them, right? Or AKA they pay you money. So what that looks like visually, I literally just whipped this up. I know it kind of looks elementary and it's not in line, which is kind of bothering me right now, but this is kind of what it looks like, right? So the reason why it's built like a funnel is because at each step, you're going to have people, quote unquote, fall off, right? So let's say you have 100 people 100 people's attention. You'll have like 75 people interested, 50 that you're nurturing, 25 that you eventually have a conversation with, 10 that you have a call, and then like 5 that you close, right? So if you can convert 5% of all people that know who you are, you're going to be so rich, it's crazy. Okay, but you have to understand that you're kind of playing a numbers game as you go down the funnel, and the better you get at creating this type of funnel, the more you can see where things are breaking, right? Am I not getting enough attention and interest? Am I not getting enough nurture and conversations in the middle? And then am I not getting enough calls, right? If you're getting enough attention, then okay, are we starting enough conversations? If we're not, then we hit that. If we're not generating enough calls, or we're not, making enough money, we're not closing enough people, it could be because we're not generating enough calls, or it could be because we suck at sales. For this specific training, we're going to focus on this top part right here, from attention to conversation. So number one, getting their attention. Okay, so the theory behind it all is like, we need to understand who your ideal customer is, and the reason why it's so important, right? I have every single one of you guys go through the ideal avatar training, even if you've been training baseball players for years and years and years and years, even if you have a big following, no matter who you are, you need to understand who your ideal customer is, who the avatar is, quote unquote, because what I believe is that we need to market the problems that they're having, and we can't market the problems that they actually have if we don't understand the human being behind the problems, right? The psychology of the problem, okay? And then only then can we provide a solution for their specific problem. Most people are just trying to provide the solution that they think is the answer, right? Rather than actually providing a real solution to their customers. Okay. So some common mistakes. People will say, I have a program. If you want this program, check it out, right? Probably sounds super familiar. Or they say, hey, I'll give you a daily checklist with a full warm-up and strength and drills and a bunch of other bullshit that sounds boring, right? Nobody really cares about these things. Okay. Another thing that I see, people will post one time and then think the entire world knows about their program. Odds are, if you posted about your program one time, only 20% of the people that are even following you know that it's a thing, right? Or some people just don't even post about it in the first place and they go, Nick, why am I not booking any calls? Well, nobody knows who the fuck you are and even knows that you have a program. So of course you're not going to book any calls, right? How to fix these problems. So let's say your problem is that, your athlete can't throw hard, let's say. The way you can word it, the way you can present it is, if your fastball couldn't break a glass window, then you have no chance of playing in college, right? So what we're doing here is we're taking something that's super boring, super common, they can't throw hard, and rubbing it in their face that, hey, you throw slow as shit, right? This is how we're going to capture people's attention and separate ourselves from the crowd, instead of just saying, hey, if you want a pitching program, then you should follow me, right? That's what everyone says. That's boring as fuck, and nobody's going to listen to you, okay? So the solution is that we're trying to get somebody to throw harder, right? The wording behind that is, I will help you go from bouncing off the glass to making people think there are bullet holes because it's moving so fast, right? You're pretty much going from throwing, marshmallows to bullets by my program. Okay, that is much more compelling than saying, I will help you throw harder. Like, that's fucking boring. Nobody wants boring. People want something that's sexy, flashy, different. Okay, how to fix your problems, or how to fix more of these problems, right? So if you don't post your program, make it impossible for somebody to know that you don't have a program, right? Make it literally impossible for somebody to know that you don't have a program. Like, post it all over your page. Tell everybody you know. Make sure that everybody that you know knows that you have a remote training program. Okay. Another problem, you posted about it one time 6 weeks ago and nobody hits you up. Post about it every fucking day until everybody on the Instagram platform unfollows you. I promote my program every single fucking day. Every single fucking day. Monday through Sunday. I say, hey, look how great my program is every single day. I ask people to do something for me every single fucking day, right? And so if I'm the pro at this, right? If I'm the guy that you're listening to and I post about it every single day and I'm not worried about people unfollowing me, my account is actually growing like fucking crazy right now, then why should you be worried about posting about it every single day? If your goal is to make money on the internet, then you cannot be worried about people who are never going to pay you unfollowing you, right? Okay, starting conversations. This is where I see a lot of people get tripped up, okay? Think about it like you're dating, okay? Marketing and dating are literally the exact same thing. If you were to approach a woman at a bar, how would you do so, right? You wouldn't walk up and be like, hey, like, do you want to go home with me? They would be like, you are crazy. Why would you say that to me? You're a complete stranger. And that is what a lot of you guys are doing in the DMs right now. You're way too direct. Okay, you need to warm them up. They know you're trying to sell them, right? Just like you approach a woman at a bar, like, she knows what you're trying to do. Okay, she knows you're trying to seduce her, but she needs to know that your intentions are pure, because she's probably open to it. She's probably open to talking to you, just like these kids are open to talking to you, but they don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. And so you need to build that up and show them, hey, my intentions are pure. I'm going to take care of you. Here's how we can do that, right? So the art of seduction. This is a very, very important mental frame that we need to take on, right? We don't need these kids need us, okay? Because there are millions of kids out there that play baseball, right? but there are not millions of people out there willing to do the work that you're doing to help them, right? There are much fewer of you than there are of these kids. These kids need you. You don't need them, right? If you come in hot trying to convince them that you're the Messiah, they're going to run away, right? Girls don't like egos, they like confidence. All right, I'll say that again. Girls don't like egos, they like confidence. And there is a huge, huge difference, right? Confidence is somebody who's sure of themselves. Ego is somebody who needs to be reassured, who needs to know that, yeah, I'm the shit, right? They need other people to tell them that. Whereas if you're confident, you know that within yourself. So show confidence and lead with service, right? The best leaders, the most confident people lead with service. Okay, they think, what can I be doing for others? And people will fall in their frame. Okay. Another thing, what do all girls want to talk about? Themselves, right? Themselves. So if you're constantly trying to talk about your program to these people in the DMs, guess what? You're going to fucking bore them. Think about a woman. If you're just sitting there talking about how you run a baseball training business, what are they going to say? You're fucking boring, right? We need to talk about the prospect. We need to talk about them, understand their problems, get to know them for them without actually having any sort of agenda that you're trying to push. Obviously, you have an end goal, which is to eventually get them to pay you money, but there's a way to get them to trust you enough to pay you money, right? There is a way to get a woman to be with you, right? But you have to get her to trust you first and show that your intentions are pure. And if you're not an asshole, then that should come out naturally. Okay, actually booking the call. So the way you're going to get somebody to actually book the call is by showing them like what's in it for them, right? You need to give them a reason to actually get on the phone. Okay, and this is the exact same thing as like dating, right? You need to convince the prospect that it was their idea to train with you. You need to convince the girl that it was her idea to go on a date with you, right? If you can convince these people, if you can convince your prospects, convince women that, hey, it was actually your idea to chase me, then that's when you can have leverage in the world. That's where you can have leverage in these interactions, because now you're coming with the frame that, hey, you need me, I don't need you. Okay. And so the way that we can do that is through belief shifting content on Instagram and actually having real conversations to dig up pain points. So that way we can hit on those and show them that, hey, if this is your goal and if this is what you want to do, then I'm the person that's going to get you where you want to be based on what you just told me, right? Use their words to say, based on what you just told me, this is what the next step is, right? You need to take them through a logical progression. And so that's my next point is you want to sell one step at a time, right? We are just selling the next message, the next message, the next message, right? I always say you acknowledge, you compliment, and then you ask again, right? Or you acknowledge, you respond, and then you pivot. Yeah, I totally understand. My XYZ was the exact same way. What do you feel like that is limiting you from doing, right? So I'm asking open-ended questions and I'm always getting them to the next step. I'm always getting them to the next step, right? But I'm only going one step at a time. If you've watched the appointment setting training in the program, you will know I am only getting to the next step. That is all I am worried about. Okay. And so some of the most common mistakes that I see are asking multiple questions at a time. Being like, hey man, what do you do? What position do you play? Where are you from? It's like, what the fuck, bro? You know what I mean? Like, you ever had somebody text you and they ask you like 4 questions in the same text? You're like, fuck, dude, chill the fuck out. Like, why are you so needy? You know what I'm saying? Like you ever had one of your friends do that? You're like, holy shit, bro. Right? We want to avoid that. We want to make it easy for them to respond. Because the easier we can make it for them to respond, the more likely it is that we're going to get a response. Right? Okay, number two, sending the calendar after 3 messages. If you're sending the calendar after 3 messages, unless they're red hot and pretty much asking for it, like it's probably too soon, right? And there's also no exclusivity to work with you if you're just dropping the calendar to anybody who's willing to have a little bit of a conversation with you, right? We do want to create some sort of like cool kids club atmosphere with our program. Good. Number three, robotic speaking cadence. I mean, just be a normal fucking human being. If you are kind of like, super direct, then guess what? You're going to have to learn to not be, right? It is a skill you're going to have to learn. Same thing, lack of empathy. You got to make sure that you understand the other human being behind that screen. It's not just a robot that you're talking to, it's an actual real person. And so usually we can boil this all down to actually caring about the person and trying to figure out like, what are the facts behind the situation? What is their actual situation right now? How can I best serve this person? And then how can I convey that in such a way to where they understand and want to take the next step? Okay. So think about it like this. How would you get a girl to go on a date with you? Sell the next step, right? We're always leading the conversation. If you want a girl to go on a date with you, you don't want her to have to pick the place to go. You don't want her to ask you to go on a date, right? You always want to sell the next step, right? What are you doing on Friday? Oh, I'm free. Okay, perfect. Since you're free, let's get together at this time at this table. Sound good? Okay, cool, right? So we want to always sell the next step, but we want to lead the conversation where we want it to go. If you're trying to get somebody to do something and you say, okay, awesome, bro, cool, and then you don't ask another question, you don't progress the conversation forward, and you go, why did this person not respond? Well, you didn't fucking give them a reason to, okay? So the real reasons you can't book calls, at the end of the day, that's all technical stuff, but the real reasons, I mean, just ask yourself, how many calls have you booked? How many sales calls have you taken? How much content have you posted to show your prospects you can help them? How much content have you posted to shift the beliefs of your audience? How much thought and effort do you put into your conversations? And when you ask yourself these questions, you'll realize, shit, I haven't booked very many calls. No wonder I'm terrible at it. I haven't taken very many sales calls. No wonder I'm terrible at it. I haven't posted very much content to show my prospects I can help them. No wonder I'm terrible at it. I haven't posted very much content to shift the beliefs of my audience to see things the way that I do. No wonder I'm terrible at it. I honestly don't put very much thought and effort into my conversations. No wonder I'm terrible at it, right? So volume negates luck. You want to book more calls? This is real shit. Send 100 DMs a day. Having trouble booking calls? Send 100 DMs a day. You want to get better at sales? Sell for 8 hours a day. Open your calendar up and just book everybody on it. As every single DM, you don't even have to try and take money from them. Just get on the phone with people and convince them that you can help them, right? That's how you get better at sales. You want to get new followers? Post 3 times a day. Ian Jenkins has 150,000 followers, and guess what? He is posting 3 times a day now, right? He's still trying to grow his account. That is why his account is so big, because he's fucking relentless, not because he just got lucky. Okay, he is willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to be successful, if you can't tell. So you want your prospects to stop objecting to you? Write out a list and overcome them in your content, right? If you do all of these things for a long enough period of time, it will be unreasonable for you to not make money doing remote training, to not at least make one fucking sale, right? So the real reasons, right? You're not actually that good at booking calls, right? You actually haven't proven anything. It is not undeniable yet that you can help people. Your content really isn't that good, and you think that the world owes you book calls just because somebody else was able to generate book calls, right? Just because I was able to make a lot of money through remote training does not mean that the world owes you money to make remote training or to make money in remote training, right? You actually have to have the skill set that I did in order to do that, right? You have to have the resources that I did in order to do that, right? You have to have the work ethic that I did in order to do that. When you watch, like Nick Zoris did a presentation last week, right? Or on Wednesday, right? Think about all the things that he was saying. Are you doing all those things? If you are not, and you're not making 10K a month, then you cannot complain because you are not doing what's required. Nick is doing what's required, and that's why he's getting the results that he's getting. Okay. So here's some real shit. Learning to book calls is hard. Learning to create killer content is hard. Learning to sell is hard. Making a ton of money is hard until it's easy. Okay, then you'll wonder why you ever struggled with it in the first place. The hardest part is just getting started. Okay, here are the main takeaways. Here's the sauce. You need to do more because the more you do, the more feedback you have. And the more feedback you have, the more you can apply it. And the more you can apply it, the better you'll get. And the better you get, the more you're going to want to do, and the cycle repeats. Okay. So it will never be harder. If you're struggling right now, it will never be harder than it is right now. But what you need to do is do more until you get good at it. Then you'll start to like it, and then you'll start to do more of it. So here's my advice. Take ownership, okay? It is my fault I can't book more calls, okay? The minute you take more ownership of your life and take responsibility for everything that's happening, the better your life is going to be, okay? Number 2, build your know, like, and trust factor. Answer these 3 questions in your content and in the DMs, okay? Number 1, who the fuck is this guy? That's what everyone is thinking. Who the fuck is this guy? Answer that question. Number 2, why should I listen to him? Why should I listen to him? Okay, and then number 3, okay, but will this work for me? If you go to, if you go to my Instagram, you watch all my YouTube videos, this is all I'm doing, right? I'm showing people who I am, right? Why they should listen to me, and showing them that it will work for them, right? And any of you guys in this program know, they know that this shit works, but I'm trying to convince strangers that, right? Okay, and number 3, do more, do better. You don't need anything different than what I do in this program or what I teach, right? Take a look around. How quickly has it grown? Seriously, how quickly has it grown? I'm selling to baseball coaches, right? And I got more people in my program than anybody in my program, right? Obviously, I'm meant to be the genius here, right? But if you just copy what I do, if you copy what I say, you will have success over a long enough time horizon.